What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to another action-packed edition of the Another 71 podcast. As always, I'm your humble host, Jeff Elliott, a licensed CPA in the state of Kansas by the grace of God and to the chagrin of many, and the number is growing daily. I assure you, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2023. Welcome to Another 71 podcast, episode 109. And against my better judgment, I'm actually also streaming live right now. So, and because who cares? Why not? So we have we're going to get to 7 questions in this episode. If you have a question, if you're live right now, you can ask me, but you can email me, jeff@another71.com. And that's jeff@another71.com. Starting things off with Lisa. Lisa writes in and wants to know if FAR is getting easier on the 2024 CPA exam. Thank you for creating a great product to help me become a CPA. A quick question for you. I'm pretty sure I failed FAR. Should I continue to study for the FAR exam or move on to audit? In one of your podcasts, you stated that the FAR exam could get easier in 2024 due to the changes. Should I take auditing and BEC this year and save FAR and reg for next year? What are your thoughts on this crazy idea? So the first part of this question is FAR getting easier in 2024? And the answer is yes. And first of all, right now FAR is 66 questions, and that will drop to 50 questions. So there's about a 25% drop. I did that calculation ahead of time. I'm not that smart. So it's about a 25% drop. You are going from 7 simulations to 8. No, 7 simulations to 8. So you are losing 16 multiple choice questions and gaining a simulation. If it were me, I would rather have an extra simulation versus 16 additional MCQs. So it's getting easier in that regard. But more importantly, from a content perspective, so the following content is moving from FAR to BAR. Governmental accounting, consolidations, derivative and hedge accounting, sale and leasebacks, Regulation Regulation SK, R&D costs, and financial statements of employee benefit plans. And so that's the content that's moving away from FAR. What's moving into FAR from BEC is ratio analysis. So it's losing a whole blueprint area, which is like up to 15% currently. And it's losing all that content, but it's only absorbing ratio analysis. And so FAR is not going to become easy by any stretch. Like, no exam is easy. I mean, it's still the CPA exam, but for years and years, FAR has always been the beast, and it'll probably be Beast Light now. I think there's a beer. Is it Milwaukee's Best? That's the Beast. Is there a Milwaukee's Beast Light? I don't know. So it'll be Beast Light. I personally believe auditing will become the new beast. Because auditing does not lose any content, but it absorbs economics, business processes, and whatever parts of internal control were on BEC. And so auditing is going to become the new FAR, in my opinion. Of course, that prediction could end up being incorrect. Never know. But it's my personal belief as of right now. And so if you can pass all 4 sections in 2023, that's ideal. January through July, well, if you believe you can pass all in 2023, January through July, take FAR and auditing, and then first, July through, there's hardly any exams in December, so July through November, then I would switch to auditing and BEC first. That way you get BEC out of the way so you don't have to take the discipline section. And then you obviously want to get auditing out of the way if you can. So if you're going to take exams in 2024, then I would take auditing and BEC this year and save regulation and FAR for next year. Christopher has a question about the best regulation CPA exam topics to focus on for taxation. I am scheduled to take the Reg CPA exam in March. What tax or law areas should I focus on the most? Okay, so back in the day when I was taking the CPA exam, when we had to walk uphill both ways in the snow to the prometric testing center, yada, 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 I scored back-to-back 74s on regulation, and it cost me not only being a CPA, but also my FAR credit. Okay, so, and the reason for that is, number one, I did not want to study AMT because I hated it. And number two, I did not like to study property transactions. And so thankfully you don't have to study AMT anymore, but you do need to study property transactions. And currently property transactions are upwards of 22% of the regulation blueprint. So like individual taxation, it's not an easy topic, but I mean, most accountants, many accountants work in small firms. Either they do their own taxes or they do tax returns for a living during busy season. Pretty familiar with 1040, Schedule A, AGI, adjustments to AGI, etc., etc. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, you need to study it for the CPA exam, but you're not just coming in to your Reg CPA exam prep, totally clueless. But then you get into the more complicated stuff like basis calculations and for property transactions. And so obviously you need to study everything. That's the easy answer. But if I were to, just from my own experience and just logically, for taxation, I would hit property transactions really hard. So in Ninja MCQ, you need to do all of the blueprint sections, but I would especially make sure that you drill down into because Ninja MCQ is broken down by the blueprint, I would especially make sure that you're hitting, definitely in the 80s on property transactions. Now, for law, just when I was studying for the exam, it seemed like agency law, that was the one that I struggled with the most, and I think it can be the most complicated and confusing. A lot of the other law sections are pretty straightforward, but if I were to focus on a tax section and a law section, I'd focus on property transactions for tax, and for law, I would focus on agency law. Arlene writes in with a question about failing FAR 5 times and if a CPA tutor is needed. I've taken FAR 5 times over the last 2 years. I keep getting 72s and 73s. What do I need to do to pass? Are you aware of any prep or cram course or tutoring that I can take? I'm going to assume, Arlene, that you're not a ninja. Doesn't say. And so, let's tackle that in two different parts. So you're taking FAR 5 times over the last 2 years, 72, 73, you're really close. I mean, if you were low to mid 60s, that's one thing, but 72, 73, it really means that there's one area that's tripping you up. And my guess is that it's the same area over 5 times, but it could be different areas, but and you probably know like which topics you really hate and don't want to study much, or on exam day, which topics really trip you up. And so what I would do is, I'm assuming that you're not following the Ninja framework, which is just a more efficient and I believe effective way of studying. So I guess it doesn't say what course you're using, so this will just be kind of course agnostic. You want to nail the concepts, so get through all of your course videos or your course book within like 2 weeks. So watch all of your lectures or read the entire book over 2 weeks and take notes. And then, so don't do any multiple choice questions. Like, most courses out there will recommend that you do like module 1, question 1, module 1 videos, module 1 questions, module 2 videos, module 2 questions, etc. I believe that's terrible advice, because when you get into like week 7 and 8, you're going to have to redo those questions. So why do we even do them to begin with? If you have to redo those questions because you forgot them, then what's the point of even doing them? And so nail the concepts, take 2 weeks, take intense notes over those concepts, and then do nonstop MCQ. So then you're done with your lectures. Then you switch over to your MCQ and take intense notes over your MCQ. So if you get a question wrong, or if you think that you might get a question wrong later, then write down the little fact nugget. So nail the concepts, intense notes, nonstop MCQ. Then we're going to rewrite our notes. Most people won't do it, but those who do rewrite the notes, I believe, is very beneficial to them. Because what's the point of taking notes if you're not going to reprocess them in your brain? And when you rewrite it versus just skim it or read it, it connects the material to your brain better. So spend a week rewriting your notes, and then so that's NINJ, that's just rewrite your notes, and then NINJA, Ninja. It all comes together in a final review, and so I would start with your weakest topics first and go backwards. So for FAR, your week on, so this 2023 exam, your week on governmental accounting and inventory. And so start with governmental accounting and do a 20 question mini testlet. You score 60. Do another 20 question mini testlet. Score 65. Another one, 70. Another one. If you finally score 75, move on to your next weakest topic, which we inventory in this made up example, and repeat it. So start with your strongest topics first, and work backward. And now the second, so that's the framework to use. Like, I want you to stop failing far. I want you to stop getting 73s. That's the framework that you use. Are there any prep? So your second part of your question, are there any crams or any course tutoring? So Ninja, so I own Ninja. I'm going to recommend Ninja. That's a shocker. But Ninja has both live tutoring and a library of hundreds of hours of past tutoring sessions. So, and it's all included for $67 a month. So I know there's a lot of tutors that are, want $130 for an hour or whatever. Like, that's fine. But you can get the exact same thing with, give or take with Ninja. Ninja Mike is live 4 nights a week. And so you can hop on with him. You pretty much ask him any question, he can answer it. So, I mean, you can go spend a bunch of money on tutors, or it's included with Ninja. Cram. Ninja also includes a cram with Ninja Monthly. Another good cram course might be like the Roger CPA cram. I don't even know if they sell it standalone. I actually don't think they sell the they used to. They don't sell the standalone cram anymore. So I guess if you're already a Roger student, then watch the Roger cram. And so I would either watch the Roger cram if you're already a Roger student. I know Becker has a final review, and then Ninja has a cram. So do you need to go hire a CPA tutor? No. I mean, you can, or you can spend a lot less money, and I think probably a better product. So certainly more vetted through the number of people walking through the door. I would go with Ninja Monthly, or use whatever cram course is included with your current program, Roger or Becker, or use the Ninja cram. Josh writes in on YouTube, actually a question from YouTube, about whether or not a new NTS is needed for a canceled exam. What is the process if I need to cancel my CPA exam that is on the last day of the testing window? Do I need to then reapply for a new notice to schedule? So I'm assuming that you mean because we don't really have testing windows anymore, just with it's not universal testing. What's it called? It's continuous testing. Whew. Got it. With continuous testing, but we don't really have windows anymore. So on your NTS, and I know each state is different as far as the expirations, but if you cancel your exam and your NTS expires, I think that's what you're asking, then you will need to apply for a new notice to schedule. So, I mean, that's the bummer. Back in my day, if you prepaid for more than one exam, so if your NTS had more than one exam on it and you failed it, then you had to take all of the exam sections that you had applied for that were on your current NTS before you could take before you could retake your failed exam. I learned that one the hard way. So thankfully it's not like that anymore. And I still think it's wise to apply for one NTS at a time. But yeah, if your NTS expires, if I'm understanding the question correctly, then you'll need to apply for the new notice of schedule. What is that, like between $250 and $300, something like that? So, yep, not ideal, but Gabriel from LinkedIn writes in, wanting to know if Roger CPA Review and Ninja is a good combination for auditing. Hi Jeff, I'm studying for my auditing exam and was considering Ninja as a supplement. Would you recommend using Ninja as an added supplement on top of Roger Review? Thanks. Well, I am extremely biased, and I think that Ninja would be a great addition to any course, but that's the easy answer, and that's the biased answer. So there's some CPA review companies I really like, and Roger CPA Review is one of them. I like that they have the UWorld platform, but also I like Roger Phillip as an instructor. I like that he teaches all 4 parts of the exam, and I think that he makes accounting less boring. I think he's a pretty solid, engaging instructor. And so all of that to say, I work well with Roger in UWorld. If you buy the Roger Elite course, hidden somewhere in the depths of their website is the Roger plus Ninja promotion. If you like Google Roger CPA review Ninja, you'll probably find it. But essentially you get 4 months of Ninja free with a Roger U World Elite course. So yeah, I think Roger and Ninja work well together. So to give the best answer that I can, I would say I would watch the Roger lectures because I think that's one of the strengths of the program. If it is your first time through the material, then I would switch back and forth between the Roger Test Bank and Ninja MCQ. And I would do the Roger simulations. I would take notes over the Roger lectures and the MCQ. I would read the Ninja notes. I would listen to the Ninja audio. The Roger Elite comes with an audio. I would recommend using the Ninja audio instead. For a couple reasons, but one, the Ninja audio was recorded specifically for auditory learning. Unless something has changed with the Roger program, it's the audio rip of the cram file, and that's fine. But I think the Ninja audio is better suited for auditory learning. During the recording, I'm assuming that you can't see any material, whereas in the cram, like the audio rip of the cram, like some of the calculations are pretty intensive, and you can't, like, just the nature of an accounting lecture through an audio doesn't always work. And so I would nail the concepts with the Roger lectures, take intense notes over the Roger lectures. If it's your first time through, use Ninja MCQ and the Roger Test Bank. Take notes. If it's a repeat, I would only do Ninja MCQ and take notes because you've already seen a lot of the Roger questions. I would only do Ninja MCQ, and then I would just rewrite your notes. Most people won't do it. I think it's a really good idea. And then it all comes together with a final review. You're reworking your questions, starting with your weakest topic, going to your strongest. You want to do 20 question mini testlets until you're scoring mid-70s, and then move on to your next weakest topic. Ninja Cram versus Roger Cram, I would watch the Ninja Cram, especially if you watched the Roger lectures for nail the concepts. I would do the Ninja Cram for it all comes together because that gives you another perspective on the material. That's what I would do. And so, yeah, if you already have if you're going to purchase the Roger Elite course, there's a coupon code floating around out there where you can save money on the Roger Cram or on the Roger Elite and get 4 months of Ninja. If you're already a Roger customer, you can obviously sign up at ninjacpareview.com. Highly recommend that you do that. Flame writes in the chat, looks like it's from YouTube. The Ninja plan. So what's the Ninja plan for BEC? I hate taking notes. If you hated watching lectures, then I could say, well, then there's the MCQ. There's the MCQ approach, which is basically, and I think it's even known as like the lazy man approach online. I could be wrong about that, but the MCQ approach is to just punt lectures. So I don't recommend punting taking notes, and here's why. First of all, taking notes will keep you engaged while you are studying because CPA review material, accounting material, extremely boring. It helps keep you doing something. Don't recommend highlighting and all that. You can if you want, but taking notes is where it's at. Now, so you can't punt taking notes. Well, you can on the nail the concepts phase. That's okay. If you're going to watch videos and not take notes, fine. I'm not going to be dogmatic about it. But when you're working MCQ, you must take notes, because you miss a question. It doesn't have to. You don't have to write War and Peace. Actually, never read that book. I just know it's really long. But take a legal pad, draw a line down the middle, make little bullet points down the deal, and like whatever little nugget the question is asking, like whatever little fact nugget, write it down, especially if you miss it. Like if you know it, don't write it down. It's fine. If you guess, or if you think you're going to miss it later, write it down. It takes a little bit more time. It's a pain in the butt. I get it. If you're not going to take notes of the lectures, then I believe that you must then rewrite the Ninja notes. So you asked about the Ninja plan for BEC. You don't have to take notes, but you must rewrite the Ninja notes. So, and I mean, there's people who have passed just by reading the Ninja notes, and I know that because they've emailed me. Not a best practice. I would never recommend it. So that's what I would do. So if you're not going to take notes, definitely rewrite the Ninja notes. Trevor says, do review courses like Becker go into too much detail of what you need to know for the exam? No, I don't think so. So even with all of the material that they cover in the lectures, they still can't cover all of the material. So there's the accounting material, and then there's the way that the CPA exam asks questions. And so even when a company like is very thorough in their lectures, there's still going to be questions that aren't covered in the topics. In the questions, which is why the multiple choice questions are an integral part of the learning process. And so working multiple choice questions in your test bank, it's not to quiz you. It is that's taking the concepts and then applying them to how the CPA exam specifically asks them. Now, so of course, questions about Becker. Do they do overkill on the lectures? No, I don't think so. Now, are a lot of the CPA review books overkill? Yes. Which is why a lot of them require a review course to walk you through the book and tell you what you don't need to study in the book. So if your review course has like a lot of FASBs and like a lot of accounting pronouncements and stuff in it, like that doesn't do you any good. That just makes for a more robust, more impressive book sitting on your shelf. I mean, if a FAR book is 1,000 pages, wow, that's pretty big. Looks pretty impressive. I think there's a fear among CPA review providers to put too much or put too little content in the book, because then they'll be accused of it not being thorough enough. So they would rather have the book have your reputation of just being a beast, and then they can walk you through what you need to study. So it's a lot easier, and just from a risk management perspective, it's a lot easier just to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, into the book and then tell you what parts you can skip. It also helps justify a $2,000 review course. So yeah, hope the major providers, Becker, Roger, Wiley, Surgeon, Gleim, Jaeger. I think they all do a good job of being thorough but not overkill in their lectures anyway. I've heard many ways to effectively study. It seems like I watch the lectures, take notes, and I'm almost brain dead by the time I do the MCQs. How can I get around this? The only way to get around being brain dead from the lectures and taking notes is just to set a firm drop dead date on 2 weeks. So, or I have 14 days to get through all of my lectures, and then if I don't, then I'm punting. And you really have to do that because otherwise your lectures will just drag out for 4 weeks, and then you cut yourself short on the MCQ, you cut yourself short on the review, and then what are you doing? You're going to reschedule your exam, and then that cycle just repeats itself, and then it's a mess. So the only way to get around and also if you have a kind of a drop dead date, then you really force yourself to be more efficient. And you can't just take you want to take summary notes. You don't want to write down everything, because then what's the point? And so having a budget, okay, so sorry. I muted it in the podcast, but not on the live. You have to, having a timeline forces you to really be intentional. All right, well, that does it for this edition of the Another 71 podcast. If you have a question, you can email me, jeff@another71.com. That is jeff@another71.com. And as always, here to help. Until next time, everyone, be good, take care, and I will talk to you soon.